Hello, everybody. This is Olga Mandodari. I would like to share with you a very interesting trip to Mexico City. For a long time, I dreamt basically to visit pyramids near Mexico City. That's their brochure. I bought like a small book. And the name of the place is Teotihuacan. And so anyway, because whenever I traveled to Mexico, it would be always the peninsula, Yucatan Peninsula, and I never had the chance to actually go to that part of the Mexico, because the Chichen Itza, Uxmal, Tulum, Cozumel, this is all Yucatan Peninsula, so that was the destination. But this time I was lucky enough to go in September, still September, and visit these incredible pyramids. But I visited, of course, not only pyramids, but the Mexico City, which is about 20 plus million people, and it has absolutely amazing anthropological museum. So this short presentation I would like to basically devote to the anthropological museum and the treasures which I found there, and how it is connected to the ancient Mayan culture of India. And as you know, probably maybe you don't, I study Vastu Shastra, I practice, I teach, and I design houses according to ancient teachings of design called Vastu Shastra, Vastu Vidya, also in other terms, Tapatya Veda. So several buildings are already built in United States and several in Russia. So anyway, let's move forward. So let me switch to my PowerPoint presentation. So here we see the basically the first page, and I wanted to show you also that they have amazing in Mexico City marketplaces, and the flower arrangements, they're absolutely geometrical and symmetrical, and they have a very different way of presenting color and flowers in bouquets. So before I continue, I just wanted to show you this absolutely different. I have never seen anything like that in Europe or in US, but in Mexico. And many more different types of bouquets they have. And prices are extremely affordable. And this front picture, that is actually the serpent head, that is from the pyramid, one of the pyramids of Teotihuacan. Okay, so let's move forward. So everything happened in September. So first, when I arrived, next day, I immediately went to Anthropological Museum, National Museum of Anthropology, Mexico City. And I signed up through Airbnb with a wonderful, wonderful guide, local guide. His name is Jose, and he has a PhD, and he is majored in anthropology. So the lecture he gave us, kind of lecture all over all the cultures, just glimpses, but very deep ones. It was 3.5 hours, so that was just overwhelming, beautiful. And as you see here on this mural, it's modern, of course, but it represents ancient look and myth or belief system of the peoples of Mesoamerica. And they say that there is a constantly fight is going on between the jaguar and the feathered serpent. So the jaguar, I bought the jaguar because I'll tell you why. I'll make a sound. So the jaguar is fighting with a serpent, feathered serpent, and jaguar is the deity of the night. So he actually is the deity of the night, which keeps safe ancient wisdom at night. Yeah, so when the sun goes down, the jaguar gets the power. At the daytime, that's why we see here on this slide, we see a moon. So jaguar represents night. So the moon is shining during the night. And as you see, there is a constellation there. There is another piece of information about it. Feathered serpent is representing sun, daylight. So there is a constant fight between darkness and light. And as ancient people believed and they felt that for the fight to continue, it needs to be bloodshed, human blood actually. And so that blood is necessary to continue the life itself. When the fight is going on, the universe is living. So I think I don't think it's actual blood, but I mean, they did it. And as we know, a lot of incredible excavations were done. For example, I think it's Olmec's, no, Aztecs. They found like a bunch of hundreds actually of human skulls muraled in the specific temples. So they did do human sacrifice. But I think the human blood is energy basically. So if we think about this metaphorically and about the universal fight, it means that the energy needed for the fight or for continuous of the life. So anyway, let's move forward. So my first incredible discovery for myself, it was the Olmec culture. So I went back actually second time to the museum to make additional photographs and record certain things. So when I was in Turkey several years ago at Göbekli Tepe, I noticed something. So what I'm trying to say that this in this auditorium where Olmec culture was represented, yeah, with these huge heads. There is also this specific carving was expositioned. And as you see it, so there is a serpent again, and actually it's Olmec god Quetzalcoatl from La Venta, Tabasco, Mexico region. But my interest is this little bag, mysterious bag. So let's talk about it. So I searched online, and of course, it's not only me who observed that, but some other researchers. And I found, for example, this interesting article of Jasper Hamill. He's British and he's writing scientific articles, different kinds. So he wrote in 2017, noticed the same thing about this little bag, mysterious bag. So he called his article Mysterious Handbags of the Gods Spotted in Ancient Sculptures Around the World. So as you see here, we have basically this man with wings standing, holding pine cone and this little mysterious bag, and this creature with human body with eagle head, same thing, holds the mysterious bag and also pine cone. They're like blessing, yeah. Some people say there is water in this container, it's not a bag. But for example, the Jasper Hamill, he said there is a belief that that is a bag holding seeds of all kind of possible plants for the planet Earth. And so in the Bible, it was said that, you know, it was a deluge. And it mentioned in many other cultures that it was a huge deluge and everything was underwater. To save their food for people, this was the bag with the seeds of different kinds of plants. So that is kind of the myth, but we don't know, of course, if it's true or not, but I do believe in myths as I think they are holding the essence of the ancient life. So what these two images, they could be somehow connected because this is all Assyrian ancient reliefs and now it's Iraq. And so these cultures, they're connected, yeah, Assyria and Göbekli Tepe is not too far away. It's the south part of Turkey. That's where I went also several years ago. And as you see on this photograph, you see the same type of handbags, quote unquote, yeah. And Göbekli Tepe was excavated not too many years ago, but at this point it's considered as one of the most ancient excavated temples. And so it has several columns, carved columns, arranged in a specific order. and one of these columns has the same bags. So as we know, Urfa, that's where near Urfa this excavation was done of Göbekli Tepe. So Urfa is bordering also with, Iraq, and so basically it's a south part, and possibly even 12,500 years ago, somehow maybe Göbekli Tepe belief system influenced Assyrians. That's possible, I don't know. But there is some connection. But how this appeared on the reliefs of Mesoamerica and Olmecs, that is not clear. Nobody knows the answer to that question. So it's the other side of the globe, and people carved the same type of relics. So that is a big question. So there is something serious about this handbag. What is that? What is this for? Nobody knows at this point, but that actually captured my attention. Okay, let's move forward. Oh, here again. So I made actually a little video. Just I thought it's kind of interesting because to show you the exact location in the museum and the label which was next to this artifact. But unfortunately, everything is in Spanish language. But my guide spoke English. So let's just listen a little bit. I speak Russian here for Russian people because I made exactly the same presentation in Russian. So, but I didn't want to share same in English. Ну вот я и нашла эту фигуру, которая держит такой мешочек, который также у ассирийцев, и также в Göbekli-Tepe, они также держат такой же точно мешочек. И никто не знает, зачем он. И вот это культура Olmec. Ну вот я нашла. So that was the that's interesting artifact of Olmecs. So nobody knows. Hopefully we'll know. Now, interesting facts about connection of ancient Maya of Mesoamerica and potentially Indians' teachings of Brahmarishi Mayan. Because there's a lot of people from India, they know that name Brahmarishi Mayan is in Mahabharata, Ramayana, so it's a well-known name of this ancient architect with incredible knowledge of sacred buildings and type of construction he would do for gods, for kings, and so by the way, his daughter was Mandodari, and that's why I have this name. So I feel connection. So what is here amazing to me? While this lecture at the museum, Jose started kind of narrating certain information, which immediately triggered my memory in the relation to the ancient Indian system of beliefs, of the lifestyle, social hierarchy. So at this specific exposition here behind the glass, we see this five-stepped pyramid, and it shows the strict social hierarchy of the system which existed in Mayan culture of Mesoamerica. And so when Jose was explaining who is who here, it immediately triggered my interest and connection to the old caste system in India, which is still somehow exists. Yeah. So here he said the first figure, the most important, is basically the religious person who is a priest. So we say we have Brahmins, right? The first caste level. Then in India we have kshatriyas and teachers. So here the same, they have basically warriors on the second step of this pyramid of hierarchy. Then they have trade people, merchants, same in India. Then we have Shudras, for example. Yeah. So first the Vaishya, then Shudra, and then untouchables. So 5 steps. Here the same. So they have also the workers, the low niche of workers. So exactly a system of 5 levels of society. And they would strictly condemn mixing between the layers of society. So you tell me why this is exactly 5 kind of layers of hierarchy, and the ancient rule would not allow a mixture between. So that is very interesting. Okay, so that is number 1, connection between ancient Maya of Mesoamerica and system in India. Yeah. So now Jose was very proud, the anthropologist, to announce that only the Mayan culture of Mesoamerica used and invented, as he said, number 0. So I was like, wow, interesting. So I listened to him, and then I said, may I ask a question? I asked him many questions. I don't think he was very happy about it, but I mean, he was cool, but still, too many questions. And I said, I was in India many, many times, and I know that in India, people think, and they have supporting literature, ancient manuscripts, where they invented 0, where they actually started using it, not the Arabs and Babylonians, yeah, but in India, and probably it went from India to Arabian cultures, and so they adopted the 0. He said, well, I don't know, but from 64 plus cultures of Mesoamerica, remember in India it's 100 plus cultures and languages also, but India is a huge country. And so Mesoamerica, it's Belize, Guatemala, Mexico, yeah. So it's much smaller part of their earth, but still they have 64 plus cultures and languages. So only the Mayan culture and Mayans used 0. Again, maybe Mayan from India came with his boat, or maybe flew in the Vimana of ancient India engineers, yeah, and they introduced this to Mayan, to Aboriginal people of Mesoamerica. Of course, it's speculation, but it's very, very interesting speculation. So number 2 is we see the correlation, use of 0 during those times. And then the next thing is the astronomy and astrology. So apparently Mayans were incredible mathematicians, astrologers, and builders. So they would not build their buildings randomly. They would actually align them with cardinal directions or constellations as well. That's why they have shifts of specific pyramids, like Chichen Itza, for example, about 12 degrees shift, yeah. And Teotihuacan also same shift, about 12 degrees, not much, but there, yeah. So that is an interesting consideration as well, because according to Vastu Shastra, it is very important how you locate and position your building on the planet Earth, because it has to be aligned with the direction of movement of energy of the planet and cosmic energies. So kind of resonance if we properly position our structure. So Mayans were aware of that, very much so. And Jose said that was the biggest thing they had in their knowledge. So in India, specifically in South India, I know that it was a key for temple structures. So they would align with cardinal directions, and also I suspect to some constellations. That's why we see shifts of some temples in South India, for example, in Tamil Nadu. They are not exactly to cardinal directions, but they have a shift. Maybe because it's correlation to specific constellations as well. Anyway, so I was showing here also another artifact that is beheaded human body, and as you see here, instead of blood dripping out, it's like snakes, nagas are coming out. It reminded me immediately about the Naga cult in India, and as we know, the serpent in India Shesha, Shiva. No, it's not actually Shesha. Yeah, Shesha was in the myths of India as well. Yeah, the huge nog. So the gods were pulling him in the different directions, and he spitted the poison, and that's why Krishna became blue, right? But anyway, so the story is, as you see here, the same, also the snakes, and they consider as a life energy coming out from human body. That's why they did in those days sacrificials with humans. So anyway, let's move forward. So we see like 4 now correlations between 2 different cultures. And here I wanted to show you, and see again, this is Naga, huge snake again here. Yeah, they worshipped it. So I made this photograph in the exposition where it was description about the Mayan culture, and maybe somebody, you guys will read it later, but I wanted to just point out to certain important things. So the Mayan universe was divided, the Maya divided universe into 4 parts, 4 quadrants, right? In Vastu Shastra, it is the same, yeah? And in Vastu Shastra, we know there are deities to each direction, and it is important because it brings you specific energy into your main entrance if your building is aligned to cardinal directions. So here they say also they have 4 directions and also central axis, that is Brahma Sutra, and here the axis mundi. So the same again, correlation. And so Maya described the surface of the earth as quadrangle floating on the great body of water, making the boundary of the underworld. So square. Yeah, so Brahmarishi Mayan also taught that the square is the most important shape because it's consciousness at peace. So the buildings of square shape or rectangular shape are considered the most peaceful and calculated. So they also say about that, yeah. So the square is important. And they also basically explain the cardinal directions and colors. And I found in Indian, for example, Kala Tattva Kosha volumes, there is this whole article, big article about space directions and colors. They're different, but there are also colors there. So it's very, very interesting correlation. Okay, here, this is Temalacatl, that is sacrificial stone. That is also was found in, actually Mexico City is built on the ancient settlement, and the pyramids were there. And so there's an incredible rock, this huge stone. It's sacrificial stone, and is, as noted in the museum, it says that people by mistake think it's a calendar, but that was not a calendar. It was a stone for sacrificial different pujas, ceremonies, and that is related to the sun deity, Surya. So here on this photograph, it's modern structure. It's in the center of the Anthropological Museum in Mexico City. It represents this axis mundi, connection between the earth, the underworld, and the heavens. So it's a very interesting cosmological approach and myths of Mayan, which actually correlate to the ancient teachings of India. Okay, so now this is the jaguar. So when we walked between the pyramids in Teotihuacan, this big one right here, that's huge, that is the sun pyramid. But again, nobody knows if it's really sun, and that is the moon pyramid, and nobody exactly knows that. That was just a name given to them. But scientists, anthropologists, archaeologists, they definitely know that there is a connection between these pyramids and the myths related to astronomy. There are incredible underground tunnels there, and they're connected to the world of the cosmos and constellations. Unfortunately, the pyramids were closed. You could not go up because of COVID, and underground tunnels also were not included in our excursion. I'm not sure if they're open for people. So our guide said, it was a different guide here, he said they suspect that it was water here, because it was several ancient lakes nearby, and they think they were channels here. So we don't know exactly. But while we were talking, and it says Valley of Death or the birth of the gods. So all these little artists and sellers, they were trying to sell different copies of artifacts. And of course it was ahead of the jaguar, because he holds the knowledge, especially when the sun goes down. He basically doesn't allow negative energy to come close to wisdom. So they would all blow this, the head of the jaguar, to create a sound when the jaguar is angry, and he hisses and makes this sound. So let's do that, so the negative energy will stay away from me. That's a jaguar. Okay, so let's move forward. All right, I want to go back to this to the anthropological museum, because when I went second time, I decided to make a photograph of this jade mask. It's a death mask of the Mayan ruler Pacal. And so Jose, the guide of that tour, he said it was a crazy situation. A photographer, official photographer of the museum, he actually could not resist, and he stole this mask. And he couldn't find it. He tried to sell it on the black market, but he realized that this artifact is impossible to sell, and it was dangerous actually for him. So he feared for his life, and he hid this mask in the closet of his in the bedroom. So 2 years the mask was in the closet. And what happened to him, as he explained later, he could not sleep because mask started talking to him, and he was terrified. So he was sleepless. So then he decided to tell his father truth. And his father said, "Hey, son, just go back to museum. Just give it back." So he went to the museum after 2 years and brought back this mask. And I asked the name of this photographer. Unfortunately, I forgot it, and I wanted to ask Jose, and I did ask actually, what the mask was talking about. He said, "I don't know exactly." So maybe I'll find one day what the mask was telling the photographer. But anyway, so I photographed here also right hand of this ruler, and his left hand and right hand. So as you see in the left hand, we have actually a jade cube, pretty sizable. And again, the paramanu, the particle of energy from which the universe is constructed according to Vastu Shastra, is a cube. And when the cube starts spinning, when we think, and the consciousness actually at work, then the spin creates a change of the shape of consciousness unit, Paramanu. It becomes sphere. So it's a final stage of manifestation of invisible energy into the material world. That's why everything is spherical, earth and sun. So that is matter. So maybe I'm just again speculating here. Maybe there is a representation of this wisdom of Maya, but nobody knows. Anyway, so let's move forward. Here it's slightly different pic, but I wanted to, in this presentation, to explain that, because there is another fact in scriptures of Vastu Shastra. It says that the energy of the planet moves clockwise direction in the northern hemisphere, and counterclock direction in the southern hemisphere. But as our scientists know, if we will look from above, from the North Pole on the Earth, it moves counterclock direction. So okay, so let's see what happens here. Why did I bring this to your attention? So this is the Mexico City Metropolitan Cathedral. I was there as well. As you see here, behind these two towers, It's a beautiful dome. It's huge, actually. Cathedral is very tall. And it has this tower, which is kind of elongated going up in the cupola part of the in the dome of this cathedral. So I made some photographs. So this photograph on the right, it shows this specific dome, and that cupola, this elongated cupola, is right here, this opening. So it's pretty tall there, and light is coming down, the cosmic energy. Okay, so what they did, they attached to the center line, we call it Brahma Sutra in Vastu Shastra, yeah? Basically a metal string, pretty thick one, and they hung this huge pendulum. It's about probably 2.5 feet, something like that, very heavy. So it was hanging there, and as you see here on the floor, there is a touched panel, and it says some writing and trajectory of the movement of the pendulum. So the floor apparently actually slightly moving in this cathedral, because it is the center of the city, and the Mexico City is located in the ancient lake, and so the soil's not very stable, and when we walked there it felt like a little slope. It was weird, but the cathedral is intact, and so there are no cracks. So anyway, what I did, I looked at the pendulum and I saw it was moving, slight movement. So it's actually reflected the rotation of the earth. And I made a video. Let's watch this. Watch carefully. See how this pendulum moves. Which direction? Guess. I think you are correct. It's moving clockwise direction. Very interesting. Yeah, the earth moves counterclock direction from the North Pole, but the pendulum moves clockwise direction according to Vastu Shastra. That's the path of energy.
Clockwise direction по часовой стрелке.
So there is an interesting fact that when Spaniards came and invaded Mexico, it was Mesoamerica, they started disassembling incredible pyramids, and they used stolen stones of the temple which was there before of Huitzilopochtli. I can't pronounce that, sorry. So that was Aztec's god of war, and they used these stones for the construction of the Catholic cathedral. Anyway, so that is the story about what was happening in Mexico in these cathedrals, and wherever I went, it was something amazing every time. But anyway, so I just wanted to finish. I wanted to make it short, but I never can make it short because there is so much to share with you. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation about my trip to Mexico and to the pyramids of sun and the moon. And I hope you're convinced, because I'm convinced for a long time that there is connection between Brahmarishi Mayan teachings, and his name is even, exactly the same, sounds as ancient culture of Maya, and they did have a very special dimensions when they built their pyramids. That would be next. All right, well, thanks so much. Om Namah Shivaya.